YouTube, man, I can't lie, this video applies to me, so I feel convicted. We worry so much. Like, we live in a time today where we worry all the time. Like, we worry about the smallest things to the biggest things of what I'm gonna do in my life or how is this gonna get taken care of. Like, we worry so much, right? And I was reading Matthew 6:25, and Jesus was talking about worrying. And this one particular part, you know, you hear it in the songs and whatnot, but actually, yeah, Matthew 6:25, you hear it in the songs all the time, but I had to really take a deeper dive into like what Jesus was saying, talking about worrying. And it starts off with this first verse. He says, isn't life more than food and your body more than clothing? Right? He said, isn't life more than food and your body more than clothing? Now, Jesus was telling people, you know, we oftentimes worry about, oh, if I have enough money to eat, or what I'm going to eat, or do I have money to buy the new clothes, and this, that, and the third. And Jesus says, wait, hold up. Isn't life more than the food that you worry about? Like, you worry about what you want to eat, but isn't life more important than that, more valuable than that? Or what about the clothes you worried about? What's more important, the clothes or the body that the clothes go on? Like, which one's more important? And you worrying, and I thought of this scenario. Imagine two people, right? A starving homeless man or a rich terminally ill man, right? Now, this starving man, he doesn't know where his next meal is gonna come from, right? He hadn't eaten since yesterday. He's just roaming the streets, don't know what's gonna happen, right? And he may look at the rich man like, why? I mean, with envious and jealousy, like, man, I wish I could be like that dude. But this term, although this rich man can buy what he want, you know, can buy houses, cars, clothes, food, like he's gonna go without, who's in a better position? Obviously the poor man. And it may sound crazy, but life is more valuable than money, food, like all that. Like, this, the one thing this rich man can't buy is time. Like, if he's terminally ill, he can't buy his time. And Jesus is saying, like, which is more valuable, life or food? The body or the clothes that go on the body? And I thought that was so like profound to me, and it really like asked me like, wow, like I'm worrying about, like I worry like there's been times where I didn't know where, you know, my funds might have been low and I didn't know when I was gonna eat. And that really like woke me up, because I'm like, wow, like life is more important than food, like way more important. Like, really think about this. When's the last time you genuinely thank God for waking up this morning? I was reading and that really stuck out to me, like, dang, like I may say it from time to time, like, oh, God, thank you for waking me up this morning, but like seriously, when's the last time you truly thank God for just to be alive? And because oftentimes we lose sight of that, right? We lose sight of that because how, you know, we're worrying all the time, or how hard life is, but we're losing sight of like just being thankful to be alive, because life, like God has blessed us with life. When we woke up this morning, you woke up, if you're watching this video, God has blessed you that you woke up this morning. Because although you may be worrying about what you have in your life, there might be a person who is in a better position than you financially, or has less on his plate and less responsibilities, but he may not have much time left, or didn't wake up this morning, or doesn't know how much time. There's a kid right now in a hospital, thousands of kids across the U.S. who are terminally ill. Do you think they're worried about, you know what I'm saying, worried about some bill getting paid, or worried about if people gonna accept them, or worried about a relationship? No, them people are just thankful every day to wake up alive. And I think we lose sight of that. And it brings me to verse 26, the next verse. He said, he's talking about birds, right? He said, birds, pigeons, sparrows, they don't plant food, they don't harvest food, they don't store up food, but God still provides for them. Like, they don't store foods in a barn, you know, for some years, or they don't just stash food away for them to eat. No, they just fly, they just casually live life. Now with a care in the world, like, oh, how I'm gonna eat, a mother of a bird doesn't worry about how he's gonna feed his child. No, he just flies around, just casually does his thing, but it somehow always eats. His children always eats. Why? Because God provides for them. And that really lets me know that the birds did nothing to get the food that they got, right? They didn't work for nothing, but they still ate. And in that same way that the birds didn't work for nothing, we don't work for what we got. Although we eat, we don't work for the food that we get. We don't work for, and I'm just using food as an analogy, we don't work for the things that we get, whether bills get paid or we have enough, just have enough to survive. No, we don't work for that. God provides that for us. All the things that we receive for gifts anyway, right? So if we can't work for it, right, to get it, and it's provided for us, and we know God always provides for us, why are we worried? I'm gonna say it again. Even when we do get what we need, right? Even when we do get what we need, we didn't work for that, right? Like, we didn't work for that. Even if we're not worrying about the things that we are the things that we need, that's not something we can go out and obtain. There's nothing that we can do to go get it. No, it may appear that way, but honestly, God gave that to us. God provided us with that, right? Anything, God provided us with that. So what's the point if we're in a position where we don't know how we're going to get that? If we're in a position where we don't know how we're going to get that, what's the point of worrying about that? Like, worrying doesn't make the situation no better. He goes on in verse 27, he says, can worrying add a moment to your life? And I'm like, wow. I'm going to say it again. Can worrying add a moment to your life? Look, I know that if I know that worrying can't add a moment to my life, why am I worried? I do know one thing. How many people you know suffer with anxiety attacks, or have mess around, get stress, or have heart attacks, or all these crazy things? And you know that's a lot of that's rooted in worrying. Worrying is the roots of heart attacks, and anxiety attacks, and panic attacks. So when Jesus said, can worrying add a moment to your life, I looked at it like, no, he's right, it definitely can't. But I know it can take moments off your life. Like, worrying affects our health, like whether we believe it or not. Like, consistent worrying, all that does is just snowball effect and build and build and build to where you just cause like this massive, like it really like affects your health. And I can speak to that. Last night I'm worrying about just a multitude of things. I'm like, oh God, like I'm being honest. I'm like, God, like, man, I feel like the more and more I make these videos, more and more people starting to reach out and want to talk about God. And it's like, oh God, I feel like I'm pulled in every which direction. And I'm thinking so much on it. I'm worrying about how bad this may get in the future, right? Thinking how bad like this may get like down the line if I continue to do this. I'm worrying about like how I'm gonna feel pulled in every direction, and how stressed I'm gonna be, and how I'm gonna like come up with methods to like avoid that. And what happened was, I can't make this. I'm laying down right there, and I'm laying right there in the bed, and my chest started tightening up, and I get this headache, and I can't sleep, and I'm trying to pray, and it's like, I'm trying to pray, but I'm over consumed with worry. I'm so consumed with worrying that it's causing me not to be able to really focus on talking to God to help me get through this, who can relieve me of this worry, right? And it's so much when my chest start getting tight. I'm getting a headache just thinking about this. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting pulled in every direction, and it's like I gotta ask all these questions, and oh my gosh, it's only gonna get worse. Oh my goodness, and I couldn't even go to sleep last night thinking about this because I'm worrying. I'm worrying about a situation that hadn't happened. Worrying on a predicament in the future that hadn't even happened. I just created this whole thing in my head, not even real. So what I'm doing is this worrying is killing me. Really, it's really just hurting my health, and it really like, oh my goodness. So stop worrying, because that stuff will get to your health. But I almost got sidetracked just thinking about last night. Oh my goodness, thank God he helped, deliver me from that, because that truly bothered me. But I'm gonna finish this off with verse 30. We oftentimes we worry about clothes, right? I'm young, you know what I'm saying? And I really do like to be fresh. You know what I'm saying? I try my best to be fresh. Everybody do. Whether you're young or old, people try to be fresh. And I remember back in the day, and even sometimes now, I see somebody else who's fresher than me, and I be like, dang, I need to be like, man, I need to get my money up so I could buy this and buy that and buy this. Or I see somebody with some clothes that I want and I don't have, and I get to worry like, dang, God, like, man, I'm getting to worry about that. But Jesus said, like he mentioned earlier, he said, what's more important, the body or the clothing? What's more important, the body or the clothing? If God has blessed you with a fully functioning, healthy body, I take that any day for some Gucci. I take that any day for some Prada, some Yeezys, Balenciagas, some Miris. I take all my functioning limbs, healthy lungs, beat a pumping heart, and 2 eyes I can see any day for that. I can promise you that. Somebody with this, you know, ain't nothing wrong with it, man. I promise you, if you ask somebody with physical disabilities whether they rather have their situation and be the flyest stepper in the house, the freshest one in the house with any deformities and anything like that, where they take their situation, but they're the flyest one, not be dressed at all, be dressed just totally unflashable, just a sore of the eye, but have, you know, just have a healthy body. Really think about that. Now, they tell you otherwise, they're thankful for their circumstances and they're accepted, and that's totally okay. Nothing wrong with that. But I know most of us, we would much rather have, you know, a fully functioning body. And again, there's nothing wrong with, you know, anybody in them circumstances. Like, I applaud you if you said another answer. I mean, you are accepting of your situation and you are confident who you are. So I all power to you. But I just want to wrap this up. But Jesus is like, if God will dress the lilies like the flower, God so beautifully dressed these lilies, and it was so much beauty and splendor, like they are perfectly made. If he clothes them, right? And these lilies are here today and gone tomorrow. Like they grow and they die and more are made. Flowers just reproduce. They could be without sunlight and water. They could just die. Like they're expendable. They just keep coming. You just pump flowers, just get pumped out all the time. But he said, if God so beautifully clothed these flowers and made these flowers, so beautifully made them, how much more will he clothe you? That's a song, that Gyra song, y'all know that Gyra song. And it goes, if he dresses the lilies with beauty and splendor, how much more will he clothe you? And that's true. Like, if God so much loves these flowers so much, we dress it with so precise and so much detail and so much beauty, how much more will he do it for me? Am I not more important than these flowers? And did he not make me in his image and his likeness? Did God not give us humans authority over all these animals, plants, and things that are on this earth? Did he not give me that? So if that's the case, that means we're in charge of this whole world. Like, when he created this earth, he gave us dominion over it, and he loves us that much. And if he loves these lilies so much, where he beautifully handcrafted and made them, I'm pretty sure we got more dominion over these lilies. So how much more does he love us, right? And these lilies don't provide nothing for himself. God, like I said, God creates these things, and they come and they go, right? So if he loves me that much more than he loves his lilies, then shouldn't I trust that he can provide for me? Shouldn't I trust that I'm gonna get out of this situation I'm in? Shouldn't I trust that everything's gonna be okay? Shouldn't I trust that if I lose my job, I'm gonna get another one? Shouldn't I trust that if I get evicted out this apartment right now, that I'm still gonna be okay? God's gonna provide for me? Right? Shouldn't I trust that if my car breaks down right now, that God's gonna make a way for me to get to my destination and repair my car? Right? If God because I know God loves me that much. So if God loves me that much, I know and I trust that he provides. So I just want to leave you with this final message. Worrying does nothing for you. You will give you a mental heart attack. And just trust that God loves you and God will always provide. And the things that we do, the things that we have, were given to us. We did not work and get that. So if we didn't work to get that, don't be stressing out working to get these other things or fulfill things. No, because God's gonna provide that for you. So if God provided enough, God provided for you. If you're watching this video, God has provided for you so much. So where he's woke you up this morning, he's blessed you and woke you up this morning. All those other times in the past, he woke you up all the other mornings through all of your life. So if God has done that, look, don't worry, because God hasn't let you down in the past and he won't let you down now. Peace, I love y'all.